Get off the scaffolding! Hey, you off the scaffolding! Mazzy here. This is the 15th of August, 2019. 50 years ago today, the Woodstock Festival started. I'm not going to tell you a lot about it because you know about it. And if you don't, you can read books, you can look at pictures, you can watch documentaries, you can watch the friggin' Woodstock movie. 3 days of peace, love, music, nakedness, and fucking rainstorms and mud. I wasn't there. I don't think I'd want to be there. But of course, it's a great story to tell everybody. Me telling my Altamont story is not so fun, although looking back on it, it's a historic event and it's kind of cool to share those kind of stories. But great music, and 50 years, there's all these new releases. I'm going to show you a couple of them I have. I don't have the massive ones. What can I say? The movie you should see, and there's different cuts of it. This is a director's cut. This is probably what, the 40th, 35th, I don't know. There's like the 25th, the 35th, the 47th, now the 50th. All different cuts of it. The original cut didn't have Janis Joplin and didn't have the Grateful Dead and didn't have a number of artists. And there's some great podcasts you should listen to over at the rhino.com site of the two gentlemen who really worked on the new audio edition for the last 12 years. There's a whole series of them. The massive one, is already sold out, so forget it. But it was 38 CDs. Amazing, beautiful box set. I've seen videos of it. I haven't seen it in person. I did not buy it. $800. They made 1,969 copies. How appropriate. And good, I'd like to hear the whole thing. In fact, there's a whole disc of just the announcements, and there's a whole disc of just the storm and rain, apparently. But it's for, I don't want to say it's for the obsessive. It's kind of a cool document, so I applaud them for doing it. But there's also a 10 CD version. There's a 5 LP version, which I'll show you, which I kind of hinted and showed you the other day on my 1969 video. But again, the movie, the different cuts. Can you imagine? There's a band called the Keith Hartley Band. You may know them. They're a British band. They were at Woodstock. Most of you, even myself, I did not know they were at Woodstock. Apparently, their manager, just as the band was going on, told the film crew that he wanted money right there. He wanted cash. Otherwise, he wanted them to stop the cameras right now. They didn't give money to anyone in terms of the filming, so they stopped the cameras. Keith Hartley Band, where are they today, right? In history. And there are bands like Creedence Clearwater that didn't like the sound, but now all of a sudden, 50 years on and many years on, a lot of these artists have put out different collections and things. But this is the original Woodstock album. Actually, this is not my original. I lost it in the shuffle. Probably got rained out in the mud and stuff during one of the festivals. But this is a German pressing of the original album. So you probably have all seen this. 3 days of peace, love, music. I believe this is the shot. Photographer Jim Marshall shot. Look at that. 500,000 people. I bought the album when it came out in March, I believe, of 1970. I saw the movie several times. It is an amazing movie, and it really broke a lot of bands wide open. We knew of Santana, but that Michael Shreve drum solo and that performance, it blew them, just exploded. Joe Cocker exploded. We all knew Jimi Hendrix, of course. But there's certain bands that really kind of exploded because of their performances. 10 Years After is another one. So this is the Woodstock album. I need to show this just because. National Lampoon's Lemmings. This is, I showed this in my comedy video recently. Lemmings is it was an audio and then a live play. I think it was in Chicago and then New York. But basically is with Christopher Guest, John Belushi, Mary Lent, Jennifer Mitchell, Paul Jacobs, Chevy Chase, Gary Goodrow, Alan Playton, Gilda Radner, people that went on to start, obviously, Saturday Night Live and other things. And Lemmings basically is basically a Woodstock parody. And it is fucking hysterical. Wish I could play you parts of it. But this is where John Belushi initially created his Joe Cocker parody, which he did later on Saturday Night Live. Oh man. Well, there's a great kind of irreverent, racist Joan Baez parody. There's James Taylor, a hysterical David Crosby, and the stage announcements. If you know the Woodstock stage announcement of Max Yasgur, who is the owner of the land, the farm that Woodstock, the actual Woodstock took place, there's a parody on this of that discussion or that speech. In the Woodstock movie, Max Yasgur says, "I'm a farmer. I haven't spoke in front of 20 people, much less a crowd this size." I'm paraphrasing. Well, of course, Belushi, I think it is, does the parody of Max Yasgur, and it says, "Long hair, short hair, makes no difference once the head's blowed off." Anyway, Lemmings, it's something you ought to hear. I bet you it's on YouTube. Listen to the whole thing. It's hysterical. All right. So let's go. I'm going to start with a few CDs because I don't have everything. But this is one of the Woodstock collections. This is probably the 35th or 40th that came out. Nothing to see here, really. You know, more expanded. Has like artists like Melanie and Paul Butterfield and more Crosby, Stills and Nash and Mountain that wasn't on the original one, and Creedence that wasn't on the original one, etc., etc. Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock, more or less the whole performance. I think there's a little bit still that the Hendrix estate is holding back. So, record-wise, just this year, or over the last year, between Record Store Day and this 50th anniversary, as a whole Woodstock sort of branded series. Sly Stone one is pretty great. These are Epic Legacy. Janis Joplin. Pretty great. Recorded the Sunday Show. Creedence Clearwater, this one just came out. This is really good, actually. You know, the recordings they're not hi-fi necessarily, but they're just great performances. And Fogerty, for years, and the rest of the band used to say their performances was kind of sucky, but I think this is kind of really great. So I recommend the Creedence Woodstock. Then Sunday, August 17th, also, my favorite San Francisco band, the Jefferson Airplane. And you should also check out, if you don't, there's a video, it's also on YouTube. Right after Woodstock, Dick Cavett had a show that had Joni Mitchell, that had Airplane, some of the other artists. Even though Joni Mitchell didn't perform at Woodstock, obviously she wrote that song soon after. But that performance of the Airplane on the Dick Cavett show, I think it was the Monday or Tuesday after the Woodstock weekend, is pretty fabulous. So there's Airplane. My gal, Grace. And then I'm going to show you a little bit about, this is the LP set. There's also a 10 CD set that represents one of every artist. I do not have that. There's, I think, a 3 CD set, 2 CD set. They reissued the albums, Woodstock 3, 4, 18, 46, whatever. This is the 5 LP box. Interesting enough, contractually, whatever reason, there's no Jimi Hendrix on here. But beautiful, sort of psychedelic design. And a lovely booklet. I think the booklet's great. So anyway, 1969, we continue with Woodstock. If you haven't already, think about entering my contest, my 1969 5 to 600 subscriber contest. Anyway, Woodstock. Mazzy Loves You, 1969, 50 years. I'm going to see the movie in a theater tonight. I don't know which cut they're going to show, but if you haven't seen it in the theater, it's probably playing somewhere right now near you. Go see it. It's well worth it. Mazzy Loves You.